what I wanted to do was to get a video together of how to like kind of avoid crashes if you're in that kind of situation with drifting. So as you're learning, you're gonna have my dog snoring over here. So if you hear any snoring, just for a minute, maybe he'll stop doing it now. You'll get in situations where you gotta avoid someone, or you have to help the person behind you avoid, yourself spinning out. Just stuff like that is what this video is for. I'm trying to figure out some more content for over the winter because there's not much drifting going on up here anyways. Um, so I'm just going to play through the video and then I'll rewind it and kind of talk through it. So I'll play it twice and then I'll step through it and then we'll just go through the next one. It's about 3 minutes of video to go through, so it's not going to take that long, but enjoy. So this one is pretty easy. Basically, he just over-rotated. You can see I'm aware of it. I'm pulling on the e-brake, kind of off throttle right now to kind of just dead slide and just see what's going to happen. At this point, I'm turning to the right a little bit to try and avoid him. Just go out here because there's open track. There's no wall. There's nothing. Let the front of the car grip up. Kind of just autocross it out of the way, and then you can keep going. So this one, go back. This is where it all starts to happen. So the lead car is way up here. He should have been like somewhere in front of me, which would have set me up a little bit better. But I'm following him. He's supposed to follow him. But anyways, at this point, what happens is, let me see if I can go back like a second here. All right. So at this point, I'm looking at the lead car right now because that's where he's gonna be at. So I got to set myself up for that. The problem is right now this guy, you can see his front wheel, he's like not drifting, so he's gonna basically snap over and just kind of spin out. I noticed that a little too late, so the only thing I could really do here is give it throttle and drive forward, just pull the brakes and just dead slide into him, try and slow down as much as you can. And I ended up hitting him here in the back door. Which again, like if I'm going to hit something or someone, I try and do it with the rear of the car because that's what's fiberglass and that's able to be repaired a lot easier than like the front end of the car or something with the front suspension, all that kind of stuff. I didn't have a passenger here, so I wasn't really too concerned about their safety. I mean, you have a cage and everything, but still. But I ended up hitting with the back door. Didn't really like pick the back door, but that's what ended up happening. Yeah, so pretty hard hit here. That's a good point too about getting like a containment seat or something. So I just have a regular seat. You see how far my head goes over here. Yeah, so that's alright, so this next one, I'm the 4th car out of a 5 car, I guess train, whatever you want to call it. Basically, I'm just setting myself up really bad here. So you can see I'm obviously spinning out, so I'm shooting for this area over here, which is just clear track, because I know someone's behind me, so I want to get out of the way instead of just parking it right here and being just broadsided by them. I get out of the way, he comes in, and then I can just follow back in and just go on as well. So yeah, it's the biggest thing is just if you're gonna spin out, don't just say, "Oh, I'm spinning out, we're done." No, there's still people behind you. Even if you don't think there's someone, just act like there's always someone following you, because it's gonna keep the car moving. You have the most control of the car while it's moving, not while it's stopped. or dead sliding or something like that, you can still manipulate where the car goes. All right, this is following So this one, I wasn't keeping up with him, so I was trying to go a little bit faster, to like on the end side of entry, I guess. I went way too fast, which put me in a bad spot because Ray was checking up here because he's right up on the wall. You can see he's getting into like the rubber marbles at the edge of the track, so it's slippery there. So he's driving back in. I just have to kind of slow up, take a little bit of angle out of the car, but also gotta, there's the wall there, so you got to kind of make sure you're not going to hit anything. I did a good job though. There's nothing to hit at this point. Just spun out and that's it. Um, so here's another one at pit race. So I'm the fourth car here. I don't remember if anyone was behind. Yeah, so Mike was behind me here. So basically, I spin out. All right, so I just over angled. You can see the steering wheel flop right there. The little it's at max angle, so it's really hard to get off of that. Just the way the steering setup was. So ideally, if I would have just kept driving straight, I could have got out of the way a lot better. But I ended up just looping it and trying to stay as tight as I could. I will admit this one I didn't really try to get out of the way. It ended up what happened. But I stayed on throttle so it would loop and get myself not broadsided on the track. So you can see it kind of sped up there, and you can hear me get on throttle. And then you just kind of sit there. So that allowed Mike to just drive around me. Imagine if my car was the other way, he would have either maybe clipped the back end a little bit, I'm not sure. And then Keegan, obviously, he had plenty of room to drive. This is at Midvale when I was just learning. This isn't really a tandem example, but even if you're starting out like this, I mean everyone's going to start out tandeming by following 6, 7 cars behind, just to have awareness of what's going on ahead of you and behind you. All right, so what happened here? Just low-powered cars. It's kind of a big turn here if you ever driven at Midvale. I don't really know how fast we're going here. Probably not that fast. It's like 50 mile an hour. Should have been faster, but we're just learning. So what he did is he got way inside. He realized that, but instead of coming back on track and just try to keep driving or whatever, be a hero, he just stopped the car because he knew I was following him. So I could see that and just go around. Because you can see I'm in a really tight line too because I don't have the power to get out there at this point. So I'm off throttle. You can hear the RPM coming down and just avoided him and keep driving. Alright, so this one, again, I'm probably 2 or 3 cars back. Just starting out to learn how to tandem this one. I think everything's going well, except at this point he kind of just stays at that angle a little too long, which gave me a little bit of, saying, hey, I need to get out of the way a little bit. So I kind of went up towards this orange area on the wall, just getting out of the way. Because you always got to think about if they just hit the brakes right now, which is I think what was happening at the time, he's just going to dead slide straight. So because of his momentum. So what he did was actually get on the throttle a little bit and put him inside, which helped me get out of the way. So if you can see, he's got smoke coming out. He's on throttle. If he would have just kept dead sliding, his back bumper probably would have been right here, which is exactly where I was going. So that was a good example of both of us work together not to have an incident. What happened here is I basically was at lock stops here, so the front of the car just kind of pivoted at that point. It didn't have much rear grip to kind of keep the car in drift. That's kind of what happened. So I kind of looped it here. But what I did is I let go of the brakes so I could roll back into the center of the track. which allowed the drivers behind me to go out. They were already set up in a good spot. They weren't trying to hero it and go in the middle of the track and try and catch up and all that kind of stuff. If you're in the back trying to catch up, just wait till next lap and do a better line. Don't try and just autocross it into someone, because that's what happens is, someone will be drifting at, whatever mile an hour, and then you're going to come up way faster. And then if they make a mistake, you already have way too much speed to do anything. So that's what a lot of issues are, I think, is people try and catch up, and then it's not good. All right, so this one, again, these videos not for like, oh, this person spun out in front of me. No, like everyone spins out. This is what happens, especially when you're learning. And this, if people don't spin out around you while you're learning, then you're never gonna learn anything, and you're not gonna have any experience of, oh God, like what do I do? So nothing against that. So he just spun out here, just too much angle. I think on his transition, he had too much kind of a flick. So I realized that, and I kind of shoot for this area over here to go to. I was at angle though, so I had to let the car get settled a little bit. So there you go. Just instead of drifting again, I just kind of let the car go over that way. All right, so this one's not really a crash or anything, but just awareness of looking ahead of you. I mean, that white car is probably 10 cars ahead of me, but you can see he's like really slow, dead sliding right now. Like he's on throttle, but he's got so much angle and not enough like ground speed that his car is just kind of like creeping or like crab walking across. And that could be bad because I'm basically on the same path that he's taking right now. And if I wasn't aware that he was doing that, I could have sped up more and caught him or something like that. So I get on the e-brake, no throttle, just to kind of slow the car down but maintain drifting. That way I can get back on throttle and just keep driving. So I don't know. It's just a little trick. I just kind of hold the e-brake down, clutch in, just let the car kind of slide. And then once everything ahead of you is good, you can just keep drifting instead of straightening up and then all that kind of stuff. Because if someone's following you and you just, oh, someone's spinning, you straighten, your car's going to slow down and it's going to change its like trajectory. It's not going to be in the same fluid drift moment or movement. So like a chase car is going to be doing the same thing as you. If you straighten up, he's going to still be drifting and it could hit you. So. Alright, so this is that kill care. This is one of the issues I always have is I forget to put my visor down. Whenever I enter behind someone, I always remember then because all the rubber is going behind or going into your face. So I reach up, flick it down. At the same time, he's got way too much going on here. He's kind of just sliding backwards at this point. So I get on the wheel, go to the left, off throttle. You can hear there's no throttle happening. Let the car grip up a little bit and get out of the way, and then get back on throttle. Alright, so this is Josh and Ray. So this is at pit race. Alright, so let's get back. Alright, so Josh entered pretty fast. Looks like he was trying to scrub some speed. Sorry this is blurry, but that's all I got. You can see he's scrubbing speed here. He's left foot braking. Potentially a little bit too much, but he's going really wide, so I think that's why he's got on the brake. Ray sees that, so he's going to try and match his angle of the car. Instead of hitting him like this, he's going to hit him and try and just kind of touch, and they'll both kind of float off the track. So that was a really good example. And you can see even after they get hit, Josh stays on throttle to try and get his car out of the way, because you can see his wheels turn. So if he gets on throttle, his car kind of should go that way, where Ray can just kind of hit the brakes, which is exactly what happens. So Josh, gets pulled away from Ray. Ray is just on the brakes, and Ray rolls backwards. So this is a good example of how to crash into people, or how to avoid damage whenever that happens. This is at US Air. So Ryan, he just over rotated. So, he's trying to just get out of the way and just drive straight into the grass to get out of the way for Ray, which probably would have worked, except I think at this point he realizes that there's a media guy right there. You can see he has a pretty good view. It probably looks a lot closer than this video. So he gets back on throttle. You can see the smoke and you can hear it. So he's trying to just loop the car and avoid hitting the media guy at this point because he doesn't really care about what Ray's doing. He just doesn't want to hit someone. So Ray at this point, he has kind of nowhere to go. His car's already pointed this way, setting himself up for a dead slide. But there's not much he could have really done there. Now it stinks. Alright, so this is also at base. Alright, so what happened here? Again, people are all learning. So second car here is a little too far ahead. If I go back, you can see he's basically about to pass Josh. So he slows up. It's hard to maintain Josh's angle, so he ends up slowing down so much that he straightens and doesn't maintain drifting. That causes Steve to slow up because he sees brake lights. He's like, well, this guy brake, like what's going on? I don't want to hit him. Steve, instead of just stopping though, he drifts towards the center of the track. And that let me just kind of hang back and just let them do their thing, and no one got it. Alright, so at this point, Steve's trying to get out of the way. Mike's following Steve. You can see he's on the brake a little bit, just trying to slow down. Black mark on the ground. Gets off the brake because you don't really have much control while you're on the brakes, just like driving in the snow. That's why you have like ABS and all that stuff, but drift cars don't have that. So they get off the brakes to try and just dive in and get out of the way, which is they do a perfect job of. You can see Josh is about 180 degrees the wrong way. Besides Josh and Ryan, everyone else didn't have an issue though. This could have been a lot worse. We could have all gotten in it. I was really far back to begin with, so you can see I'm cutting line trying to catch up. And then just out of habit, which I think is a good habit for everyone to have, even if no one's supposed to be following you, get yourself out of the way, look to your left or whatever side is the opposite way, and just make sure no one's there. And if they are, then you can get out of the way or be prepared for something at least. I just have a habit of always doing that. All right, this is in the rain at Kilcare, or at, yeah, Kilcare. So at this point, I realized that, probably about this point, I realized that Ryan is not going to make this turn. It's just because it's so slick. Driving in the rain, you'll have wet spots, really like slippery wet spots, grippy wet spots. It's just really hard. So you can see, once my wheels start to go left a little bit here is when I'm starting to get out of the way. Right there. So I'm shooting for this area over here, just kind of like an extension of the track. If you've ever been there, there's a grate on the inside of the track over here, and then there's just this like, dead spot. So I'm trying to go that way, just in case Ryan floats backwards or something, just give him as much room as he can. You can hear and see that Ryan gets back on throttle, and he perfectly puts himself on the inside of the track, so anyone chasing us could just follow through here and kind of have no issue. So this is another issue with like just wet driving is the track is wet. There's a puddle like somewhere around here. I think you can see him just kind of going through it. Just spins out. Josh notices that. I'm following Josh's kind of line of going out to the left. Steve works his way in this way. So you can see, it's hard to really see, but he just, when I was there, I remember that you can see them physically get out of the way instead of just looping it like, oh, I give up. Well, spun out. No. Like, if you help yourself get out of the way, then the other drivers will potentially see that and want to drive with you more because everyone's going to spin out. But, like, if you're the person that spins out and just does nothing to try and, minimize an incident, then I don't like to drive with people like that. And just my opinion, but all right, so here's another one. It's a little bit wet out, but it's starting to dry out. All right, so a lot of things happen. So here, I was in the wrong spot. So whenever Steve transitioned, I didn't leave him enough room, so that's what took him off his bumper. And then you can see right after I play this, Josh is gonna hit the e-brake a little bit. He'll just kind of poof back a little bit. Right there, that little kink. Steve has to check up because Josh slowed down. And what happens is Steve actually hits Josh, so you'll see this front right wheel kind of do like a wobble, and that's because the other side is hitting Josh's car. That quick little movement there, right there. This really slows Steve down because he's on the brake. So he's got e-brake on, he's got foot brake on. He's trying to get out of the way. This is right when the wheel hit. That sets me up to just punt him up the hill, which ended up working because it pushed him away from that grate. If you look here, his car still would have went up the track, but he probably would have been a little bit more inside. But anyways, I couldn't really do anything here, I don't think. But this is just what happened. All right, so this one's at the 50K. So the reason this happened, I think, was just because it was first practice. The layout was really weird. It had like an inner clip that you had to slow up a ton for. The track like flowed like it should be just like an outer zone or a touch and go or something, which is what they ended up changing it to later in the day. But you had to come around this big sweeper that was fast, and then you had to slow down to like crawling speed. It felt like, and Josh was chasing me. This was just during practice, and he was expecting me to go out wide, but that wasn't what the layout was. So I got kind of punted across. But this brings up a good point of, at this point I didn't have a Honda light. I have one for next year now, and it's mainly because of this video. If you watch my neck, it's just like the amount of movement I have, and I don't have a containment seat, which I'm also getting. It's just a little safety thing. If you watch right here, my neck is just like as far as it'll go, basically. With a helmet on, it moves a lot worse because of the extra weight. Your neck's not used to that. So get a containment seat or a Hans or something like that, even if you're doing practice or whatever, because stuff like this happens pretty easily. And like it would suck to go to a track and then you have like neck problems or something because you didn't, you're like, I don't want to wear what I brought or something like that. So this one I've watched probably about 50 times trying to figure out what I could have done differently, but I don't really know. So let's just watch it. There's two angles, this angle and then one from like over here. I think it might even be that person. We'll just see. Alright, so coming over the hill on throttle just like the rest of the course. I'm set up pretty good to chase him. But you can hear the car just kind of cuts out or comes out of gear or something. Right there. So he's straight at this point. Just trying to avoid on his own going into the fence, which you'll see. I'm still on throttle because I don't know what's going on. I have to decide, do I just, full brakes and just, I know I'm gonna dead slide into him because we're pretty close, or do I get on throttle and try and drive towards the center of the track, which is what I chose to do. You can see me get on throttle, which if I took a little bit of angle out, I probably wouldn't have hit him, but I just barely clipped him with the back of my car. Um, the back is fiberglass, so like it's not super, rigid. But I did punt him into the like metal fence, which that was what I wish I couldn't. If I could have avoided that, it would have made me feel better. Because you feel bad, like he would have been, off the track, but he wouldn't have hit anything. But he kind of went into that. I think his car was fine. It's just like a little thin fence, but whatever. This is my run against LZ, so we'll watch this. The issue with this, well, let's watch first. Alright, so what happened here is I knew LZ was faster. I was nervous, obviously, because he's a good driver and his car's really fast. So I started out in second gear, trying to get a little bit more, of an edge potentially if they were watching. Like, a spotter say, "Oh, he's doing first, second, third," so lay back. But obviously didn't work. Anyways, that set me up to enter the turn probably about 10 mile an hour faster than I was earlier. So I was doing like around 50, but you can see it was around 60 something. I don't know. I knew I was going to hit the wall probably about this point because I'm just way in the back. I'm just off. So I get back on throttle, trying to dig the car into the center of the course, hit the wall, stay on throttle because you can see the front of the car is pointed straight at the wall now. And that's what happens is like a lot of the times if you hit the back and you just kind of lift or whatever, the front end will just go into the wall. So you want to stay on throttle for sure if you're going to hit the wall with the back of the car. Um, and you can see me really trying to get the car over because it's just pushing me. You'll see it happens 3 times. So I do the same thing every time. You just stay on throttle, stay on throttle. Yeah, so I wish I didn't do that, but it is what it is. And then here's the same thing from the outside view. So not ideal. Yeah, so thanks for watching. If you guys got videos like this that you could send to me, or if you want to be like, it would be cool to have a couple people in here on like a Discord or something, and we all can talk through situations, and it might not be even ourselves driving, just a YouTube video that people see or something. Um, but whenever I was like first learning to drive, I think there was videos like this out there, but I don't think there's any that are recent. I don't know, just as a new driver, just basically awareness of what's going around you is the biggest thing, whether you're leading, chasing, or whatever you're doing. You just want to be aware of what's going on around you and not, just yourself. Because if you pay attention to just yourself, you're going to hit people and it's not going to be good because everyone's going to spin out. Don't stop driving ever. Don't stop driving. If you hit something, if someone hits you, just try and get to like a safe spot and then you can just relax or whatever. So that's the biggest takeaways I have. Hope you guys like this, and I'll try and do another video similar to this or something if you want. So thanks.